Do you want to generate leads? Is free your favorite price? Then you need to check out iyba.pro. iyba.pro is your industry-owned platform for all listings and marketing. Create robust yacht sales and charter profiles, elegant marketing material, have access to all your exclusive data, and enjoy premium search engine optimization by signing up with us. For more information on how to join iyba.pro, call the IYBA headquarters or email me at casey@iyba.org.
Maritime arbitration has been around for hundreds of years. Now we have a new forum to solve our disputes. The IYBA has created the International Yacht Arbitration Council to solve our disagreements. We have experienced maritime attorneys and yacht brokers to serve on our panels, people who know the law, who know boats, and who know the yacht business. IYAC arbitration can handle yacht claims, contract, purchase, and commission disputes privately, quickly, and less costly than going to court. Sometimes disputes happen, and when they do, the IYAC is here to help you solve them.
Hi, I'm Bob Saxon. I'm president of IBA, the International Yacht Brokers Association. What is IBA? Our mission statement suggests our worthy objective to be promoting professionalism and ethics amongst our members. But IBA is more than that. The work and the energies of our board of directors and our support committees is directed toward bettering the business environment within our constituency by way of education, networking, webinars, seminars, political engagement, and many other activities for the greater benefit of our membership. Our reach is impressive, with a global membership of over 1,600 strong, marking IBA as the largest and most influential professional association of yacht brokers and affiliates. If not a current member, I encourage your participation. If already an active IBA member, learn how you can serve in a board support capacity by becoming a committee member. I asked earlier, what is IBA? And in the final analysis, IBA is you, IBA is your cause. And I know that you're going to enjoy this week's IBA Yacht Engineering Webinar Week.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Day 5 of Yacht Engineering Week, presented by IYBA. I'm Paul Flannery, Executive Director of the International Yacht Brokers Association, and I'm proud to be coming to you live from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Welcome, everybody. It's another beautiful day in Fort Lauderdale. I think that's going to hold up for a little while. If you've been watching the weather, that's subject to change with very little notice, but that's the way it is here in Florida in the summer. We've had a great week so far. We've learned a lot of different things. We've had a great host of presenters, panelists. We've had some wonderful conversations, some wonderful learning opportunities. We've also enjoyed a couple of technical difficulties. As you all know, I said at the very beginning, we are a Yacht Brokers Association. We are not a tech company, a video production studio. But thanks to Lee Savage and Between Two Yetis, and most especially Seth from JV Connectivity, I think we're 100% for today. Now, I hope I didn't jinx myself by saying that. As it stands, though, we're in good shape for today. We've got a good segment to come today. We've got some talk with Seakeeper, and then we're going to get a little sneak peek behind the curtain with some of the top names in the yacht brokerage industry. As you all know, the only way that we can bring these seminars to you is through the generous support of our sponsors. Our coffee sponsors, Robert Allen Law. We all know I like my coffee. And we appreciate Robert Allen Law. This week's also been brought to you by Caterpillar and Pantropic, Seakeeper, Northern Lights. Let's see, we've got MPI and KVH, AME Solutions, who has been a supporter of this from the very beginning, as has Seakeeper and Northern Lights. Quantum Stabilizers has joined us this year. Karen Lynn Interiors, Underwater Lighting, Apollo Lighting, JV Connectivity, and LMC, our official timekeeper. So thanks to all of those wonderful companies that have chosen to support us and make this possible to bring to you. In fact, we're able to do this one with no charge to our attendees, thanks to the generous support of our sponsors. So what we've learned so far this week has been primarily surrounding the technical aspects of the boat. We've talked about driveline alignment and the importance of it, how to remove sound and vibration. We've had discussions about aftercoolers. We've talked about LED lighting. We've talked about yesterday we had a great segment from Northern Lights and Technicold. So we've had a variety of different things. Today, we're going to step out again. We've got Heather back with us. She's going to join us from the field, and she's going to give us a little time with the boys at Seakeeper, tell us a little bit about stability. We're going to break for a commercial, and when she comes back, we'll jump right into it. Thanks for joining us this morning, everybody.
Marine Professionals MPI has been in business since 1997. With over 20 years of experience, we at MPI provide you the very best in marine electronics, audio, video, and networking. We specialize in boats from 40 to 120 feet. If you need navigation, including Garmin, Raymarine, or any other top brands, MPI is your go-to source. If you need audio video equipment, MPI can provide you with HD TV and the very best sound with a Sonos hi-fi sound system. MPI is the only marine gold Sonos dealer in the country. Nowadays, everybody wants high-speed internet. MPI can offer you different solutions that fit your needs. Whether it's to pick up the marina Wi-Fi, cellular, or satellite, MPI has you covered. We'll make sure you can binge watch your favorite Netflix episodes anywhere, anytime you want. You can check us out online at marineprofessionals.com or call us today. I'm Mark Carreri, and I approve this message.
Hey, Heather, good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful morning as always here in South Fort Lauderdale.
I got to tell you, Heather, I'm happy to see you as always, but I'm also a little bit sad.
sad because the week's coming to an end.
Today's our last day. You know, I'm
I know.
not sad just because I'm here in the studio and you're out there in the beautiful weather, but I'm going to be sad to miss you. We've had a really great week together. I've enjoyed the interaction and your perspective on things. But the good news is I think we've pretty much made you an expert in yacht engineering over the course of the last 5 days.
I think so. I've had a great week as well. I've learned so much. I learned about staying connected while at sea. I've learned how to limit vibrations on your boat. And today I'm going to learn about how to stabilize your boat. So the learning continues and I'm really excited. I've had a great week. I'm also sad it's coming to an end, but we've had a great time.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges coming ahead is going to be which brokerage company is going to be pushing to hire Heather Lee O'Keefe as the new expert in the yacht brokerage world.
That's right. We'll see about that.
Okay. So as I mentioned in our opening, you're with Seakeeper this morning, and you're talking with Nick Buckman and Captain Brian about gyro stabilization. Give us a little idea of what we're going to be looking at today.
Sure. So today we're at Lauderdale Marina, not to be confused with Lauderdale Marine Center, which is right down the road. We're here right behind 15th Street Fisheries, and I'm about to hop on the Seakeeper boat to see what we're going to learn about gyro stabilization today.
Well, you've
So
become
here we
such
have
an
Captain
expert
Brian.
this week, Heather. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to be a fly on the wall, and I'm going to let you take the helm.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
And here we are with Nick Buckman of Seakeeper, who's
How
going
you
to be
doing?
so kind to help me on board.
Welcome to the Seakeeper boat.
Thank you, gentlemen. And it's a beautiful day. We're out in the open air, so I'm going to take this mask off if you don't mind.
Good idea.
All right.
Fine with me.
Thank you. Set this over here.
There you go.
All right, Nick, so today we're talking about gyro stabilization. Can you just tell our viewers what that means?
Basically, gyro stabilizing systems eliminate virtually all of your side-to-side boat roll. So all that uncomfortable, uneasy, seasickness causing feeling is virtually eliminated with our systems and gyroscopic technology in general.
That sounds great. Is this a new technology?
Believe it or not, it isn't. It's been around for over a century in marine applications. It's used in aviation. It's actually a small one in everyone's cell phone.
Oh, wow.
So the technology's been around for a long time, and in one of the first boats was in the early 1930s. They were 13.5 feet wide and required a lot of power. They were really heavy and just too cumbersome to maintain and actually make feasible to put on a smaller vessel like this, like we have today.
Okay, so any size boat can have this, or?
Yeah, with a Seakeeper gyro, you go anywhere from 20 feet all the way up to over 200 feet, and naval ships and big warships and ships like that all have some sort of gyro stabilization.
Okay, now I'm a visual learner, so it's my knowledge that you have a little mini one that you can show me how it works.
Yes, we do. We do.
All right, let's take a look at that.
So it is an exact replica of what we have going on in our actual gyro down here.
Okay.
So this is actually just a mini version of what's going on. So basically a gyro is a spinning flywheel. And the principles behind the spinning flywheel are that the faster you spin that flywheel, that heavy mass, the more inherently it wants to stay upright and stay super straight. So what we'll show you here is the spinning flywheel, and it's fixed about the center, just like it is down here. So when our Seakeeper's turned on and unlocked, a wave comes from the side to hit the gyro, and notice it continues to stay upright.
Wow.
So this will just continue to stay, to hold us upright, no matter what angle the wave hits it from here in this display model. And so what I'll show you is, I'll let you feel the actual torque something so small releases here.
Okay.
Let me just change the angle. Yeah, I got the other one. I just gotta.
I think I missed this day in physics class.
Yeah, it's me too. Here, Brian, you want to spin that up? Captain Brian will get it spinning a little bit faster for us.
Okay.
And it's actually, it's pretty cool how such a small gyroscope spinning fast, actually, you really feel the side-to-side compensation and torque. So just like on our model here, we're fixed on a port to starboard gimbal, and as a wave comes side to side, the gyro accounts for that and counteracts the roll with torque. So
Wow,
you
okay.
want to recreate the
Sure.
wave and go side to side, you'll feel.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if you can see this visually, but what I'm feeling is whenever I turn it, it kind of pushes back.
Pushes
and it
on
wants
the
to
opposite
stay.
way.
Yeah, it wants to stay
It's fighting
centered.
to stay upright.
That's
so
really
when
cool.
that's affixed to the structure of a boat, it dissipates that energy and spreads that energy across the whole vessel and stabilizes it.
Okay, so then my hands right here would be like waves.
Your hands are representing the waves,
Oh,
exactly.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Thank you for showing me that.
Sure. Thanks, Brian.
So now I know a lot of yachts have the fin stabilizers.
Yes.
Can you explain the difference between that and this kind of stabilization?
Well, similar to what we're trying to do, which is eliminate boat rolls,
Mm-hmm.
fins are doing the same thing. And so there's a multiple different variety of fins. You have your fixed fins that don't move, that stay in the water. They work best when you're going fast. You need that water propulsion moving along the outsides to keep that boat stable in the water. Where it's different from, I guess you'd call them movable fins, or movable fins, the opposite of fixed fins.
Okay.
They work with stabilizing a boat that's at rest. So they don't work very well at high speeds. They're more designed for a boat that's at rest. Whereas a gyroscopic technology is used for all speeds, all sea conditions. It's when you're at rest or when you're going fast. So what we find is a lot of our customers that do have a certain type of fin, a Seakeeper addition to your platform already complements something that your boat does, which is either go fast and stable, and we can take care of the slow end, or if you're stable when you're sitting still, we can take care of it when you're going fast. So
Okay, so now would it be necessary for a boat to have both the fin stabilizers and the gyro stabilizers, or does the gyro take care of both then?
Well, I mean, if your boat already has fins, it's not something that you'd want to add necessarily. Add to your boat. You're adding holes and intrusions into your boat,
I
and
see.
it limits the depth that you can get into. So that's what's great about a gyroscope like this, is that it's all internal. There's no outside appendages or anything to get snagged on anything or hit anything, any sort of extra running gear
Okay.
associated. So.
Okay, and like you said, when the boat is at rest is when you can most feel it
Right,
rolling.
yep,
So the gyro
exactly.
helps with that both at rest and in motion?
Yes, by nature you're not going to feel it as much when you're going fast. You know, you're not going to need it as much, so you're correcting about 60 to 80% of the roll there.
Okay.
But when you're sitting still, you're anywhere up to 98% roll reduction. sitting
Okay.
still.
Awesome. Let's see.
And if you want to take a look, the gyro is currently spinning at up to 9,750 RPMs, depending on our model. The unit is so sensitive that just somebody my size at 175 pounds walking across the deck, you can see the gyro compensate in there. You see the spear, it will precess fore and aft. And the only time the Seakeeper is releasing its energy is when you're precessing fore and aft. So if you see, I'm walking across the deck and it's compensating for just that change in weight.
Wow, that is really interesting. So these things, they look pretty heavy. Is that true?
No, they're actually not heavy. Because they're inside of a vacuum encapsulation, we're able to make them much smaller than we would have had when we talked about older gyroscopes that were really big in the ship. They were hard to keep cool. So because we put them inside of a vacuum enclosure, we have an innovative cooling system combined with our braking technology. We're able to make these units compact enough to be in boats 23 feet, and smaller. So this unit here is giving off enough torque to offset, almost 10 tons of boat.
Wow, so they're not as heavy as they look.
No, not at all. This
Okay.
unit here is what, 465, Captain Brian? 385.
Oh
385.
wow, okay. So,
So not as
that's a
bad.
misconception. So
Yeah.
speaking of misconceptions, I've also heard that there's a misconception that they can be loud. Is that true?
No, honestly, it's quieter than your motors. It's quieter than your bow thruster, your generator, your air conditioning systems, all these other systems that usually accompany a boat. Right now, our unit's running at full blast, and
Can't even hear it.
You can't even hear
Wow,
it.
okay.
It's less than the conversation we're having, and you remember that this is a kind of display, and it's up on deck. So imagine down low, or in an engine room, or under a hatch somewhere, you don't even hear it.
Very true. Okay. Are there any other common misconceptions that you have to debunk very often?
That it won't stabilize as much when you're going fast.
Okay.
And it does. It stabilizes just the same. You're just not feeling it as much. It's much easier to really feel the side-to-side compensation when you're sitting still than when you're going fast. It's
Very true.
You're like on a bicycle. If you were to go down a hill, it's much easier to stay stable when you go down the hill than when you're trying to go slow and keep your balance. So.
That's true. Okay. So, well, I'd really love to see how this thing works. Do you think we can
Yeah.
see a little bit?
Sure. Let's Captain Brian's going to lock the unit so it's not allowed to release its energy.
Okay.
We want to do a dock rock right now.
Sure, let's do that.
So what we'll do, since the unit's locked right now, it'll be just like a normal boat, a regular boat without stabilization system. So
okay.
Now we can get the boat rolling. If you can help me out, Heather.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I think maybe we should get our camera guy off first.
Oh yeah, right. Let's not
do
let
that.
him in the water on that part. Yeah, let's
help Mr. Camera Guy off here. All right, here's my selfie mode. Okay.
All right.
All right, now back to our demo.
Yeah, so again, we're now a regular boat, and we can rock side to side and get you that uneasy, uncomfortable feeling that we're all used to. And what Captain Brian's gonna do when we get her rocking and rolling, he's gonna unlock the unit, and the Seakeeper is going to engage and have immediate stabilization.
Okay.
Did you feel that?
I was gonna say, it's not rocking anymore.
Not rocking.
Oh, wow. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's our product. It's all speeds, all sea conditions.
That's awesome. Yeah. Could you do that just one more time so I can see what's going on underneath?
Sure.
That's really cool.
So again, Brian locks the unit.
Okay.
And now we'll rock side to side. You'll notice it's not precessing.
Right.
So it's not releasing its energy. So we'll get it rocking side to side.
Wow.
And Brian's going to unlock the unit.
Oh, wow. So immediately
stabilized.
Immediately stabilized. That is awesome. Why doesn't every boat have this?
That's what I say.
That's $1 million question, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
That is really, really cool. But now I think the only question I have left is, are we cruising today or are we fishing?
I say we do a little bit of both.
All right, let's go. All right, Paul, what do you think? I think that was pretty cool.
I think you've learned something all new today, Heather. That really changes the game. That's one of the things that Seakeeper's been able to do throughout the range of boats from small to large is offer people a completely different boating experience. You know, in the years as I was a broker, one of the things that I found out was members of the family would love to go boating, but there were certain members that didn't want to go because they weren't comfortable. They'd have motion sickness. And Seakeeper's really opened up, but Gyro Stabilization has really opened up the world of boating to a lot of people that couldn't have enjoyed it before. Like our cameraman. We might have lost him.
Well, I think we're heading out, Paul. It's been a great week. Thank you so much.
You guys have a ton of fun. Now make sure you bring her back, okay?
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Well, that's a pretty amazing demonstration. It's almost like they put that thing on rails as soon as they turn the gyroscopic stabilizer on. And we're going to break for a commercial, and then we're going to come back with some of the most seasoned veterans in the industry to give us some tips and tricks about how to get your boat through survey, how to get acceptance of vessel, and go to close. We'll see you back in a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Bob Allen, and I work with a law firm known as Robert Allen Law. We're a law firm dedicated to serving the needs of people in the yacht industry. And that means manufacturers, that means brokers, that means buyers, that means sellers, that means banks, that means people who sell all sorts of things and services to the yacht industry. We're a team of lawyers that has experience in virtually all the fields surrounding this business. And if you're in the business, you know how important it is to work with lawyers who know yachts, right? And know the type of problems that arise and know how to solve them. Our job as lawyers is to help deals get done. Thanks for the opportunity to be of service to the industry, and we look forward to hearing from you if the need arises.
Seakeeper has changed the resale values of our boats by the fact that if there's one in it, it definitely sells faster than one without it.
A boat today, the same model without Seakeeper, it's extremely penalized on the used boat market.
Yep, I think you guys have got me. We're going to get this technical stuff down probably next Monday when we're done with our webinar. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for staying with us, folks. I see we've got Michael Galati has joined us. We're going to have Jeff Stanley, Mark Elliott, and Judd Black will be joining us here for this panel. I've had the pleasure of knowing each of these guys for many years. I see we're all showing up in the screen here. So while Mark's climbing in here, I'll just do a brief intro on you. So Michael Galati is with Galati Yacht Sales, based over in Anna Maria Island on the west coast of Florida. Jeff Stanley with Gilman Yachts is here in Fort Lauderdale. Judd Black is with Bluewater Yacht Sales in Hampton, Virginia. And Mark Elliott is a citizen of the planet. He spends some of his time in Fort Lauderdale. I think he's coming to us today from Newport, Rhode Island. But Mark is with IYC, the International Yacht Collection, based here in Fort Lauderdale. I'm really happy to have these guys on board. I'm really pleased that they all agreed to join us for this panel. I've had, as I said, the pleasure of knowing all these guys for quite some time. And the one thing that I can tell you that I know about each and every one of them is that they're the consummate professionals in our industry. I sold a few boats over the years. I had the pleasure of doing business with each of these guys. Actually, I don't think I sold any boats big enough to talk to Mark, but I did know all these guys through my years in the brokerage career, and was always impressed with the professionalism, the breadth of knowledge, and their ability to bring it to the next level. Guys, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Pleasure. And I think, my screen for some reason is showing me a tape, so I can't see if Judd and Mark are with us. Are you guys with us? Okay, I think the reason I can't see them is because they haven't come up on video just yet. There we go. I think we've got one of them coming in on the bottom. And while I'm waiting for our last one, John Gear asked about in our Seakeeper segment, how do they power the boats that size, the smaller boats? I believe it's a 12-volt system, John, and you can go to seakeeper.com and get all those answers. Mark Outlaw asked about at what point a gyroscopic stabilization becomes ineffective. I have no idea. Check with the guys at Seakeeper, and I'm sure they'll bring you up online. Now I can see everybody. Morning, Judd.
Good morning.
Hey, Mark, welcome.
Thanks, Paul. Welcome.
How are things up in Newport this morning?
Foggy today.
It's Newport. That's the way it is. Absolutely.
Fog happens.
Well, thanks for joining us this morning, guys. What I wanted to be able to do this morning was to give the audience, as I said earlier, a little sneak peek behind the curtain. You guys all have quite a lot of experience in the yacht sales industry, years of it, having done a lot of transactions through those years. I'm going to start out with, look, we've all had a very different experience over the last couple of months. It's not something that we ever could have predicted or foreseen. And there have been different segments of the industry affected differently. I'm going to start right out with you, Mark. Starting back in the early part of March and on up to today, which is the last day of July, what do you see in the big boat sector? I know most of your business is above 30 meters.
Well, the first big impact for me was the cancellation of the Palm Beach Boat Show. A lot of our sales have been done in the past via boat shows, and that's a place where everybody can gather and see a lot of boats in a very short time. So that was the first indicator of how our lives were going to change. And since then, we've had all the major cancellations with, Barcelona and Monaco and the Grand Prix and all the other events over the summer. We're now, of course, switching to a virtual scenario as we're doing right now. And I think getting people on the yachts is going to be the bigger challenge. When people feel comfortable about traveling, and even showing boats has been odd because you're going into a family's home. The crew lives on these yachts. That's their home. So when foreigners come in, you have to be respectful that that's their home. So that's the challenges. Hello?
Certainly, Mark, the cancellation of the show in Palm Beach was big across the board for everybody. And the next big question, I think, is if Lauderdale will happen. Of course, they are saying it will, and I hope it does. But we got to clean up our act, I think, a little bit in Florida before that happens.
Yeah, no question.
I think we've lost our moderator.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'll continue on, some of the challenges. We've had so many of the big yachts change their whole routes and itineraries after, in March we had the Caribbean season coming to an end, and the norm would be for most of those big boats to head over to Europe. Well, they didn't. They stayed in the Caribbean, and we thought the Bahamas would be safe haven, and then they all had to rush to Florida to find a place to hunker in while all these restrictions were taking place. So the showings that I had set up over in Europe, evaporated, and like I said, getting people aboard the boats now, people just don't want to fly commercially. So unless they have a private plane or private plane access, it's been very difficult just to show boats. We have had a few open houses, and it's been great because everybody's been very supportive. But that's definitely one of our challenges.
I think in the market below Mark's market, let's say the 25 meter, 40 meter market, we've been pretty active, and certainly even below that in the, from center consoles on up. The amount of business that has happened in the past couple of months has got Gilman caught up the previous year. So after a couple of months of sitting idle, we're pretty happy with that. One thing I was talking to Michael earlier, what I'm seeing is a lot of buyers that wouldn't have been buyers a year or two ago that are going through survey and stopping before the closing. They are not used to what it costs to own a boat. It seemed like a good idea. All these boats being sold we're bringing a lot of new people into the business. So my point is, if your listings are not ready for survey, you're probably not going to have a closing. It's more important now than ever, and to take the time that we have, which maybe was our downtime a few months ago, to get these boats ready. They, sea trial it prior to the sea trial. If your stabilizers seals haven't been done in 4 years, it's going to come up. And it's these kinds of things that I'm finding. The list of general maintenance items are scaring away these buyers. I got 3 deals right now that are teetering because the selling broker, whomever, is trying to hold the hand of the buyer, and they're just not used to what they're seeing. They had a 30-foot whatever that didn't have a huge maintenance regime to take care of, and you get into the big boats and you buckle up. You're going to spend some money. So that's what I think we have to probably counsel these people prior to survey.
Jeff, to pick up on your point there, one of my favorite saying is you have to manage the expectations. I think we've all probably had guys walk away from boats that needed $2,000 or $3,000 worth of little piddly stuff because they thought the boat was going to be perfect. We've had sellers walk away from a deal that needs $2,000 or $3,000 worth of maintenance because they thought their boat was perfect. And going in, one of my big peeves is you have to manage the expectations and let people know what to expect on the survey, that no surveyor is going to let a boat pass with flying colors. I mean, they're not doing their job if they do, because there's probably no boat that would pass with flying colors. And if you don't help these people understand what they're getting into, then, setting yourself up for failure, in my mind.
Very good point.
Absolutely, Joe. I agree with you more. I think that it all becomes in the preparation for the boat itself and buyer and seller. And if the 3 of those are not ready on survey day, the survey day should be things that you find that would be a surprise. Most things, what services have been done, cosmetic issues that you can see before you survey the boat, those items should be discussed and expectations set before you even go through that far down the line.
You guys are absolutely right. Can you hear me okay? Just checking.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Okay, good. There's nothing I love more than having a good group of seasoned sales professionals on the line with me that can carry on despite whatever technical difficulties we may be experiencing. Thanks for rolling with that, guys. But you bring super important points to bear. And that's something that, it's the hard part of the job that we do. And that is having the difficult conversation with the seller before you even get a buyer in front of the boat. And that is, get this thing ready for sale, like Jeff said, like Judd said, like Mark and Michael all said. Be ready. Don't be caught flat-footed when it's time, to really be serious. There are a variety of different things that we can talk about this morning. Each of you guys comes from a different segment of the market and a different style of brokerage. Jeff, your company at Gilman Yachts is more of a boutique brokerage. You guys do pretty much a specific segment. I mean, your business is pretty well dialed in between 60 and 110 feet or so, wouldn't you say?
I'd say maybe 40 and 110 feet.
So what would you say are some of the things about being a boutique brokerage firm that are different for you? I know you know what it's like to work in these other companies. You've experienced working in other companies prior to having been at the helm on Gilman. What would you think is a little bit different about boutique as opposed to being with one of the bigger shops?
Well, as far as running the business, being the absolute opposite of a corporate organization, we're able to make changes quickly. I think the key to that, though, is probably having seasoned brokers, which, for the most part, all of our brokers have been in the business 20, 30, 40 years and, don't require much management, very little management, actually. And everybody kind of does their own thing, keeps their nose clean, sells boats. I'm ashamed to say we're not a house of sales meetings. We might sit together at lunch and talk about things, but everybody's going their own direction, and it seems to work for us. Being a smallish firm, I guess I've got 14 licensed brokers, but let's say 6 that are very, very active. We just know our market. Being able in that 40 to 120 foot range, it's a fairly easy market to know. Unlike Mark's is a little more varied. Even though I delve into Mark's market every once in a while when he lets me.
We need you more, Jeff.
I'm happy with where Gilman is in the marketplace, and even in our past couple of years, we've been doing well.
What do you think are the biggest challenges you face as a boutique firm, besides Bob Dennison?
There's always someone doing something new, and you should have your eyes open and learn. I haven't given up on print advertising. We're in 3 magazines every month, or every month they print one. And we, are certainly not as digital as the people at Dennison, some of the other companies are, but we're on 12, 14 websites, and we kind of do our own thing. We're maybe a little bit old-fashioned, but it still works for us. And the other thing I can say about a relatively small firm, if you've got, let's say, 10, 12 brokers, and in our firm and a firm with 100 brokers, 20% of those brokers are going to be doing most of the business. And it's really reality. If anybody has any secrets to that, I'd like to know how to make everybody be super successful. But, just by numbers with our small firm, I don't have 80% of our brokers. And if there's 80% of a 100 broker house that aren't doing well, I'm not sure all those 80% need to be on the front line talking to clients. Seasoned professionals, when the phone rings, we have a little bit different theory at Gilman. When the phone rings, email comes in, the lead goes to the listing broker, not to an up guy. Dave Gilman, years and years ago, said that's the way to do it because that guy knows the boat. And it works, in my opinion. You got an up-day situation. You can't know every boat your company has listed. And today you're getting leads on every boat listed, not just your company's. So you by having a expert answer the phone and someone who can immediately answer the questions and not say, I'll get back to you, I think it helps us move forward and retain the inquiry a little better than a firm with maybe 100 brokers and the guy doesn't have any idea what that boat is. He just got a call on.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you completely. You know, we've all known that 20% of the guys do 80% of the business. And the key to being successful in the yacht sales business is listings, listings, listings. It's what makes your phone ring. And yeah, nobody knows the boat better than you do. Thanks, Jeff. I'm gonna switch off to Judd. You know, many of our audience is scattered all around the world. It's really kind of interesting to me. We've got people on here from British Columbia. We've got people from Poland. We've got representation from Nashville, Tennessee, Southern California, New England, Florida, all over the place. Judd, you're in the mid-Atlantic states. What do you see? What's hot in your neck of the woods these days? What's going on in the mid-Atlantic?
The weather's hot, but with these warm days and this summer season, always the smaller boats, the outboard boats, the center consoles are always the hottest sales for us. But business is great across the board. Like everyone, I think we when the COVID thing first came out, we were, you know, a little concerned. We were sort of, you know, almost panicked about inventory and that sort of thing. And after a week or two, it just started to take off like never before. And now we're panicked the other way for inventory. Instead of crying over them, we're crying for them. And so that's been a wonderful thing for us. But it really doesn't seem to matter. I mean, we specialize in, you know, center consoles, cruising boats. We sell Sabre and Back Cove, and of course Viking and Valhalla and regulator center consoles, and our business across the board, really all those lines has been good. I have friends who are dealers for bay boats and pontoon boats and things like that, and their dealerships look like they're out of business. Their parking lot is empty. I mean, they may have one or two or three boats in stock. So it's just been incredible.
That's wonderful to hear. I remember vividly how when this thing first hit, we were all a little dumbstruck as to, oh my gosh, you know, now what? And as it's turned out, yeah, the concern is more the other way. What are we going to do to get product to satisfy the need? Michael, Galati Yacht Sales represents a variety of different products as well. You guys do a great brokerage business, but you handle a number of new boat lines, as Judd does. What are your suppliers telling you? What are your manufacturers saying? How are they going to meet with the demands, or what's going on from the manufacturing side?
Our manufacturers, and like Judd, we have Viking, Valhalla, also Princess, Maritimo, cruisers, yachts, and prestige yachts. And at the beginning of this, like everyone else, they were forced into shutdown for weeks, some of them into months, and pushed out our deliveries, and we were able to sell through all of our inventory that we had, and both Galati owned trades, used boats, and the new boat inventory. And now the manufacturers are playing catch up to get those deliveries to the client and fill the pipeline up for 2021. And we've done a very strong job at that. And it's been, like everyone else is seeing, extremely busy. And we couldn't be happier with where we've been the past few months during this pandemic.
So the manufacturers aren't too freaked out about being able to meet deliveries. They're just pushed out a couple of months, and they've been able to go back online.
Yeah, it has been difficult with some clients, you know, who have made plans for summer, winter, and taking deliveries of their new boats. But unfortunately, with no one building for that time period, we have no choice but to push it out. And we'll get them their boats as soon as possible, and everyone will adapt as we've all been doing through. So that's kind of exactly where it is.
Mark, we had a little technical difficulty when you were first talking, and I wasn't able to hear your entire response. But and if you did cover this, please let me know. But in the big boat segment, tell us about what's shaken out in the Northern European yards and in the Italian yards and Turkish yards. How are they being impacted by this? Obviously, it's a longer build cycle than to build a 40 or 50 or 70 foot boat. But how has it been impacted there?
Well, obviously, everybody really slowed down as a result. Just, in Italy alone, they got hit so hard in the beginning. And then, their method of lockdown was much more thorough than the United States. So I think they came out of it a little bit better, quicker, than we're experiencing here in the US, but definitely slowed everyone down around the world. So it wasn't just, the boat builders in any one particular area. I think the whole world of yacht builders slowed down as people couldn't move and people were afraid to come in. And until everybody got the masks and the protocol and the safety, in place. And, what I see is a lot more spacing. You see these plexiglass partitions put up between people's workspace. That took a little time to build out, but we're seeing now that the yards are becoming more active. On the sales side of it, it's just difficult getting clients to fly in to those places. Of course, the U.S. can't fly into the EU at all right now, so that's been the biggest slowdown of sales.
Yeah, I'm very aware of that, as you are. I think one place you and I really like to be this time of year is in the EU. It's a nice spot to be in the summertime, no doubt about it. Yeah, I look at Super Yacht Times every day, and interestingly, we're seeing boats over 30 meters splashed, 3 and 4 of them a week. So it speaks to how much of a backlog and how much business there has been, and it's slowed down just a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this on the big boat side. I'm gonna switch off a little bit. We've got a real wealth of experience here, and for the guys that are on the audience, and we've got a very good crowd this morning, I'm going to ask each of you guys, if you have a new guy starting in your company, what do you think is the most important thing for him to learn, understand, and get a grasp of? I'm going to start with you, Jeff. I know you don't bring a lot of new young guys in, but most of the guys that work with you, as you mentioned, are seasoned veterans. But you do deal with a lot of different companies, and you have a very diverse experience with dealing with brokers. And having spent a lot of time with you here on the board at IYBA, the issues that arise. What advice would you give to a new guy coming into the industry?
Probably work somewhere else other than Gilman, but and I say
Michael
that
might be hiring. Be careful.
Yeah, and I say that because when I started, I worked at what was called Nautical Yacht Base and became Harbor Town, and we were Trojan, cigarette, and Viking dealers, and I met a lot of people, and that's what it takes. We're starting out, and I get people, a couple times a month come in looking for jobs, and I say, go to HMY, go to Galati, go to Allied, and way back when there was a training program at Bertram. Dick Bertram had a quote unquote school, but you need to have people through the door to get a foothold in this business, in my opinion. But short of that, if I've got someone with a little bit of experience, and for instance, my son, and myself, go get all the technical knowledge you can. I mean, this week has been great, but I have, plate coolers on CATs, MTUs, whatever, as the engines get larger, are becoming much more common. I didn't really understand them. So, my son and I went to our favorite repair shop, and when they tore apart these plate coolers on the cooling system of it was a C-32, and learned, they're titanium plates, and this one's got salt water on this side, this one's got coolant in the other, and those little funny rubber gaskets that stick out are the most important thing. So you've got to if you're not selling boats, at least you should be able to learn about the boats, what makes them tick. And when you do get that call or that guy walks through the door, you're going to be able to impress them with your knowledge and maybe keep him.
Well, you bring a really good point, and that's the whole purpose of us having brought this seminar to the membership and to the audience at large, is to help people understand the technical aspects. Mark, you and I came up in a similar fashion, having come up through the hawse pipe, as it were. We both worked on boats. You traveled in a different circle than I did. I was in the sport fishing realm, and you were reaching out to some broader horizons. What would you say to guys that are coming off of deck and wanting to engage? What advice would you give them?
Well, I couldn't agree more with Jeff. I really think knowledge is the key. When you have someone with experience, and especially if they've worked on a yacht before, that means everything in my world. There are salesmen that say, oh, I can sell anything. And yeah, they do, and they can, but they may be short-lived if they don't know the product very well. And, my greatest asset is the knowledge base of how to run these boats. And just like Jeff said, how the machinery works. When you go to a survey, you better know what they're talking about, because that's the big money. And then you can give advice when you know what you're talking about. So I agree. Knowledge is key. Know the boat. I prefer people that have actually worked on boats before, so they have the hands-on experience. I think they're the best suited to sell a yacht. They know the product. So get your hands wet.
Well, I agree, and I appreciate that. Judd, what do you tell the guys that are coming in with you at Bluewater as important things for them to know? Obviously, the technical expertise is critically important. It helps separate you as a professional. What other pieces of the puzzle do you think are critically important?
Well, one of the most difficult things I think in the industry right now is to get new blood into this business. You see Michael there, he's young, but the rest of us are a little long in the tooth and got gray beards and mustaches. So, it's been difficult for us, especially in the mid-Atlantic region, to get people into the business, because I think, just the way it's set up as eat what you kill, so to speak, it's very difficult for a young person to come in who has a family and, needs to take care of people and needs insurance and health insurance and other things like that. And so, we've tried to bring those people along in a little different capacity and get them some experience before we, so to speak, throw them to the wolves. But I can't emphasize enough what Jeff and Mark have said is the product knowledge is key. In this day of the internet, you've got a client or a potential client, a prospect, who's interested in one or two models or one or two sizes of boats. And so they can get on the internet and they can do their homework. And I don't care how much product knowledge you have, they're going to know more about that specific model than you do, because that's all they're studying, that one, and that's all they need to know. And you have a vast expanse that you're trying to cover. And so one of the things that I would tell people right from the beginning is don't pretend that you know something that you don't, and don't try to impress people with your knowledge. Be available to answer the questions, and just be honest. If you don't know, tell them you don't know, and you'll find out. One of the things that we're starting to do, and really should let Michael talk more about this because they pioneered it, but we're starting to have teams where guys like myself, like I have a younger guy who works with me now, and he has a lot of experience both in boat sales and in running boats and sport fishing and that sort of thing. But it's nice to have the ability to take a Saturday off once in a while because you're covered, and or when we've all had situations where you need to be in two places on the same day and you just can't possibly do it. So it's seems like that might be the wave of the future. I know the real estate market's been doing it for some time, and it's worked well for them. And I see some opportunity in our business that way. And maybe Michael could comment on that, because I know they've been doing that for quite a while.
We have, absolutely, Jed, and I can't agree with you more what you said about if you don't know the answer to something, don't try to tell the client and drag it on like you know what you're talking about. There's nothing wrong with saying you'll find out for them, you'll get them the information. That's one of the biggest things with the young guys who are coming in new. We have done, we have an onboarding process through an apprenticeship, and you never know how long it takes. Some guys with a network of buyers and prior boating knowledge can take as little as 6 to 12 months. And some who have a lot more to learn to get up to speed, to be, so to speak, like you said, out there thrown to the wolves. It takes some time, and the partnership has worked great. We've teamed up incoming brokers with someone who may be nearing retirement and working their database, learning the technical aspects from them, shadowing them, and work as sort of a mentoring team. But a lot has to match up. You know, you have different personalities that clash, work ethic, but a lot of times you can, you know, have these attributes that complement each other. And, you know, the younger guy might be better, you know, on the technical computer side and be able to pull up information, you know, market data and present it on the spot, where, you know, some of that's more seasoned might not be so quick to do so. So if you can match those two up, I think you can really have a successful partnership. And in the end, the incoming sales agent will grow and become successful through their career.
I find that amazing, Michael, that you would say that there's a potential for personality clashes, because I've never noticed any strong personalities in our industry, including you four right here. I mean, meek, mild, reserved, but you're absolutely right. You know, Michael, I've had the pleasure of seeing some pictures of you at a very young age in this business. So you actually way before you were in the business, but you were certainly around the business. And you've had the pleasure of growing up in this, as I think most of us here on this call have. But you see a lot of guys coming into the industry, your peer group, that comes in maybe without the depth of experience that you've enjoyed. What's one of the things that you see you'd like to see your colleagues and your peer group doing more than they're doing now to better represent and to better bring a positive experience to the client base?
I would say doing things that you can better yourself, your knowledge of the market, technical aspects like this program you put together this week. I've tuned in here and there when possible, and there's some really good stuff. The information at hand, if you in this industry, if you really search it out and try to grow yourself, it is there. And I think that is, if you really spend your spare time and not trying to, you know, chase around the same two buyers, and remember that you need to grow yourself to gain experience, that's really the ticket, I think, for an incoming new salesperson.
I'm going to encourage the audience to use the chat box over there. Our president, Mr. Saxon, commented that someone who everybody in the industry knows quite well, Andrew Silla, always said the three things only when talking to a buying prospect is yes, I don't know, but I'll find out, and isn't she beautiful? Now, I don't know if that's sales advice or dating advice, but I think it's good advice nonetheless. So, you know, another piece of the puzzle, we're talking about knowing the products, we're knowing about dealing with our client and being straightforward, being honest, not trying to be something that you aren't. But you know, let's say we get to the point where, okay, that's the one I want, and we go through the contract process, and now we're going into survey. What are some of the things that you guys do to facilitate your relationships with the surveyors? Mark, you've got a good depth of technical background. You've sold a lot of boats over the years. What do you find is a key to working successfully with surveyors?
Well, one of my favorite techniques is, and I've done this with Jeff actually, is when a surveyor is on a boat. In the old days, you would get this massive list at the end of a survey, and I would call that shock and awe. You'd get this 200, item thing. I like to take it as things come up during the survey. I'm usually there, on hand. I like to come at the end of the day, every day, and say, what have you found? What can we fix? And I think having that open book relationship, when you have the buyer and seller and the captains, you say, okay, let's agree to share the survey knowledge so we can address it and we don't let it get out of hand. And a lot of times there'll be a switch that the surveyor didn't know to turn it this way instead of that way to make something function. So by doing it, as often as possible, at minimum at the end of each day, that simplifies the whole process. I think, having the experience to explain things that are wrong. I've seen one surveyor who can ruin a deal because it's doom and gloom how to fix this thing, where another surveyor can say, oh, this is fairly easy to fix. You just have to do this, this, and that. So you've got to know the difference. So you can definitely lose a deal by having a surveyor who's got the doom and gloom mentality, where I try to turn it all into a positive and say, okay, we've discovered this. Let's find the remedy. Let's fix it. And there's generally pretty simple solutions to do that.
Yeah, presentation is the key. You can walk into a room and look at a person and say, my goodness, your face is so ugly it would stop a clock. Or you can look at a person and say, every time I look at you, time stands still. You're saying the same thing. It's about presentation.
Yeah. Well, even a broken clock's wrong, right, twice a day.
There you go. So, Jeff, it's kind of an unusual experience that we get you here in a panel situation as opposed to having you out on survey. Tell us what you do with surveys. What are some of the things that you find work really well to facilitate your relationships with the surveyors?
I think the primary thing is getting the boat ready. You can sell a bunch of boats a year and you use the same surveyors. The surveyor probably looks at you cross-eyed when he keeps finding the same things. I mean, not every seller will get a boat ready, but I have a list I give to my buyers, their crew, of things that just stupid things that will help make the boat ready. Go buy some new flares. Go do your seacocks work. How rusty are the clamps on the shaft logs? Are the shaft logs leaking? If you put new aftercoolers in last year, lay the receipt on the table. And it's just so many things that you can make surveyors' life easier, which, very clearly is going to make your life easier, and you'll sell more boats, is, in a word, getting ready. And secondly, bring them lunch. They like it.
Judge, how do you make your surveyors, your mechanical and hull surveyors comfortable?
Well, I think the big key to that is you don't want to inflict too much on their territory. I try to be there for every survey. It's really rare that I'm not there from bell to bell. And I'm watching what's going on, and I may give a little narrative to the buyer during the course of the survey when things come up, but I try not to get in the surveyor's way or to tell him what, I've seen so many brokers that are trying to sell the surveyor, and I don't think they appreciate that very much. So I try to be cognizant that they're doing a job and that, the good ones are going to tell the truth. I mean, and I wouldn't ask them to do anything otherwise. And so what I want to do is explain to my buyer what that means. And if it's catastrophic, and then I'm going to explain that to the buyer just as quickly as I would if it's something minor. I mean, if it's a old Hatteras motor yacht, it's probably got blisters. If it's it's probably got a soft spot on the upper deck, and you explain what that means and what it takes to, and that's one place that 40 years of experience in the industry comes into play. I won't say I've seen it all, but I've seen most of it. And you can, you have some idea of what the magnitude of the problem is, and you can help the buyer understand that. And that brings up, sort of backing up a little bit when we were talking about brokers representing the boats and things like that. I mean, one of the things that I'd like to see in our industry, just twice yesterday, once from a broker and once from a prospect, I heard this boat was misrepresented. And I think that the internet is a wonderful thing and a terrible thing all at the same time. I think when the prospects have the opportunity to have all the boats that are listed in front of them, they're on Yacht World or they're on, Yachtco or whatever website they go to shop for boats. The tendency with the broker is to say, he has to say good things about his boat. Otherwise, the first thing you say wrong, the guy scratches you off the list and goes to the next phone number of the next brokerage that has that same model. Now Mark may not run into that as much as we do, but if you tell him it's a 2-stateroom instead of a 3-stateroom, or if you tell him that, hey, the boat's it's a 7 on a 10 scale, it really needs a little TLC, you're concerned that the guy's going to move on to the next boat on the list, and your name's not next to that one, your phone number's not next to that one. But I do think, especially being in the Mid-Atlantic, I encourage everybody to describe the boat as it is. And I know, in the 80s, when I first started in this business, I had a guy come look at a boat. He said, the boat's not quite as nice as you described it over the telephone. And I don't think I've had that happen more than 3 or 4 times in the last 40 years. I try to make a point not to let that happen. And not all of our brokers tend to be that way. I think they fear that if they, don't describe the boat as a cherry or a peach or whatever you want it, whatever your term for it is, that they're going to, the guy's going to move on to the next boat. But that's better than asking him to fly or drive 1,000 miles and get on board your boat and have it, quote, misrepresented. And that's one thing I would wanted to make a point of today to say to everyone.
Well, you make a really good point. Judge, you and I had the pleasure of having interacted several times over the years when I was active as a broker. And one thing that you and I could always depend upon, if you called me or I called you, was we knew what boat we were going to go look at when time came to go and look at it, or not waste our time going to look at it because it wasn't going to suit our guy's needs or meet his standards. And that, like you said, it's critically important. Just be straight up, be honest, be forthcoming about it. Michael, we had some surveyors on one of the earlier days in this week. Malcolm Elliott, pretty much everybody knows, is a prolific surveyor. He's a great guy. He's a very good surveyor. And he has some comments about what makes life better. A cold drink of water and a sandwich, I think, were the 2 things that he found were most important. Is there anything that you can add, Michael, to what these other guys have said about how you facilitate your relationships with the surveyors?
I was going to say that they love when you bring them lunch. offer them a sandwich, and everybody's happier when they're fed. I mean, it's true. Sometimes you have a long way to get out, going out the New River, and you're not going to be able to get back to some food till like 3 o'clock. I mean, it's more so for your client, but that's just like a funny side bit. I think the thing that helps everybody out, including the surveyors, is have your facts together from the beginning. Like Judd said, have your records, printed or together in a file on the table in the salon, so you can review them, and exactly what you're looking at. If questions come up, you can say, well, this was done on X date. So that's definitely, preparation is key, I think, in getting through a survey. But other than that, I would say also, sorry, I drawn a blank there, but I mean, it's really
you
being prepared to have everything ready for it, and for both the boat itself, and it's going to help the surveyor and make your buyer more comfortable.
Well, you accentuate the point that Jeff made earlier. You know, if we know the aftercoolers are going to have to either be been serviced or be serviced. So have a receipt, be ready if they've been serviced. Let these guys know. Being prepared makes all the difference. And yeah, you don't want a hangry broker, hangry surveyor. They tend to write down a lot of things. We don't need that to be the case. We've gotten some good advice over in the chat room about books to read, The Art of War being one of them. Perfect Storm, I think, is another one that may be on the short list. And Yacht Brokering, Smart Yacht Marketing 101. There's an opportunity for people to ask questions over there, and there are also some great answers coming through from over there as well. You know, another thing that I'd like to touch on with you guys are, you know, you're up to your knees in this every single day, all day. And we've seen a thing or two. We've experienced a lot of change over the years in the industry with the product and the marketing and all the rest of it. With all the stuff that we've talked about this week at Yacht Engineering, and I know you've been able to check in on some of it, what do you think are the big game changers? What do you think are going to be the new things that we need to be looking at going forward? Is it types of boats or propulsion systems or connectivity? Mark, what do you, if you had a crystal ball and could look 5 years in the future, what do you think are going to be the big game changers?
Well, most recently, you know, the beach club scenario has been a huge factor. Everybody wants a nice beach club, so getting closer to the water. I think you're going to see continually more eco-friendly drive systems, eco-friendly yachts, less of a carbon footprint or as least as you can have. So I do see that as part of the future. I think you're going to see, you know, a lot of these yachts are built for the charter market as well. The yachts that I deal with, people do want to have the ability to charter their boats. So, and then there's the rules and regulations to comply with the larger crew quarters and living space for the crew. So I see that as things to keep an eye on for the future.
Interesting. Jeff, what do you see? What things are you starting to invest your time in learning about, and questions that you're hearing about in the segment that you work in, and, you know, the 30-meter range? What do you see as the game changers coming?
Certainly the advance of stabilization systems that we didn't have a few years ago is going to be a game changer. When, you know, for Mark's market, as soon as at-rest stabilization came out, if you didn't have it, you know, I'm sure you were further down on the list for someone looking to charter. And, you know, we now have that down to center consoles with Seakeeper and some other smaller companies that are doing the same thing. And it's probably an expensive addition for a lot of boats, but when you're building them, it really isn't. And a lot of the manufacturers, you know, the new Viking Valhalla 46 is, you know, I don't know if it's standard, but it was certainly, there's a place for it, and it probably will be standard. So that one thing I think will possibly bring some people into yachting that otherwise may not have been. I'm not there yet on the fully electric yachts, but I, you know, agree with Mark that reducing the large carbon footprint that we have now to something lesser is going to be, it could be a buzzword for someone who is getting into upgrading to a larger boat. Those two things are probably my biggest takeaways from this week.
I agree with Jeff.
Judd,
The stability is huge.
Oh, sorry, Mark.
And I think that's why we're seeing a surge in catamarans. They're just more stable and more room.
That's very interesting. Judd, what are you seeing in your region and in the products that you guys spend most of your time with as being I gotta have this type technologies, and when are we going to get that type technologies?
Well, technology and innovation are obviously keys to, you know, to new boats, right? You know, and now, like with the Seakeeper, you're seeing retrofits, even in center consoles. We're seeing retrofits of Seakeeper and that sort of thing. And so that's always a thing that everybody's looking for, is the latest, greatest technology. One of the things that I see maybe more a need for than actually having available is that we call it the Lexus mentality. You know, guys that are new to boating, they get in their car and they turn the key and it starts every time. There's never a dead battery. There's never an issue. And if there is an issue, it's taken care of in, a matter of hours instead of days. And I think that, again, it comes down to expectations, but we have some boaters now that have expectations that their boat is going to be like their Lexus. It's just every time they turn the key, it's going to start. And I think that as an industry, we've done a poor job of explaining to them what's required to keep that boat in that kind of condition. I think that we need more, routine maintenance. We need to know more about routine maintenance. We need to describe to them what the routine maintenance is. How many Seakeepers, for example, have had issues somewhere down the road, and the people have just never even, they don't know that there's an anode in it, and they've never done any kind of service or maintenance. Or in the case of our boats, a lot of them are out in the weather. They're under the deck, but they're in an area when you're backing down on a fish, the salt water is cascading over it, and nobody ever opens that hatch and goes in there and washes it with fresh water or soap, or uses a can of WD-40 on it. So I see that as a real need and something, right now with this COVID thing, we've got new people coming into the market and they're getting involved in boating. And if we want them to stay in boating, we need to help them understand what's involved, and we need to help them keep their boat maintained so they don't get turned off to the whole process.
That's a super good point, Judd. One of the things that we'd all like to do, we've got a bit of a captive audience in the marine industry, but the thing that we're all aware of is that there's a wide group of people out there that don't have previous experience in boating. I think it was the NMMA did some studies that Chuck Cashman was telling me about a while back, that if you don't engage in boating by the time you're 12 years old, the likelihood of becoming a boater in your adult years is significantly diminished. So trying to find ways to get the message out to people that aren't entrenched in boating from a young age is important. That's a whole different thing we can talk about as a marketing segment. But you're right, that Lexus mentality, they expect to go out and turn the key and have it work. And they also expect, if it doesn't work, to be able to pick up the phone and have service right now. Michael, you guys have got a pretty significant service presence with Galati Yacht Sales. Is that something that you guys have done, is tried to emulate the automobile industry a little bit to provide that level of service to make it seamless for people?
Absolutely. That's been our reputation that has built Galati from day one. We started as a service company back in the 70s. And another thing to remember for, we're talking about new brokers coming on, is the sale doesn't end at the closing day. You should stay in touch with that client, check in on them, assist them in getting into yards. I mean, that's something that it goes on, and then it'll be the gift that keeps on giving when they buy more boats for you. But the service is what keeps the client coming back to list their boat in the future, and it's something that we strive very hard for to do the best we can and be there for that client every day. It's huge.
Well, and that's right. And you guys have the benefit of a large facility and a large team to help you with that. Mark and Jeff, you guys live in a segment, work in a segment that's a little bit different than that. Jeff, you guys probably did quite like I did and develop your own network of guys that you can go to, that you can call go-to guys. Would that be accurate, Jeff?
Absolutely. And end up managing, refit or a mini refit on almost every sale, or possibly getting them ready for sale. And I have those people, my speed dial. I've got a guy at the end of the year that, he doesn't work for me exclusively, but he tells me in the year, well, you got 93% of my income came from you this year. And that guy, he picks up the phone when I call. He's starting a project for me today. So that's key. I mean, I do most of my work outside of a boat yard. No offense to Galati and a lot of the boat yards I do work with, but there isn't in the size boat I sell, short of bottom work, there isn't a lot you have to do in a yard. In Fort Lauderdale, where we've got most of my listings are behind houses, if you've got a cooperative landowner who lets you come and go with repair people. And I have docks where I specifically put boats that I'm going to put a refit under. We've got one on Dania Cutoff Canal arriving today. And the guy's in the marine business. He just doesn't care who comes and goes. He likes watching the activity. And, we'll come out to service the stabilizers and paint the bottom. But everything else, the tradesmen who used to work in yards and now work for themselves with their white, windowless vans are the guys who I use every day and rely on.
Well, and Mark, I think while your speed dial probably has more +33, +44, +41 numbers in front of it, would you say that your success rests in the same thing that Jeff does?
Yeah, I would. And also what Michael said, once you sell the boat, to me, that's just part of it. If you want to have that client to sell the boat again when he's finished with it, you've got to stay with him all the way through all the painful years of having those refits. And I'm involved with, I always say I have a client for life, but that means a total commitment from the day you sell it. We help manage the crew. Whenever they have a crew issue, they're calling me all hours of the night. And so, yeah, we get involved with it all. I think that's the mark of a successful broker. You just can't leave it at the sale. Otherwise, you won't get the repeat business.
Well, and I think that goes back to something that each of you has said earlier, and that is, if you know, tell them. If you don't, tell them, but find out for them. Stay connected with them. Continue to provide the service because, like Michael says, it's the gift that keeps on giving. We've had a lot of really good discussion this morning, a lot of really good answers, and a lot of really good insight. There is one question that came up in the chat box that is a question that many guys in the industry struggle with, even experienced guys. And I'm gonna loft it up to you, Mark. It said, how do you guide your buyers toward a surveyor experience in the type of boat you're selling without opening yourself up to a liability issue? What would be your brief wisdom in that?
As far as guidance on which surveyor to use, is that the question?
Well, yeah, they're asking about how do you guide your buyer towards a surveyor experience in the type of boat you're selling without opening up to liability issues.
Well, for me, I recommend multiple surveyors. I'll take what I consider the top 3 companies and I'll put them all in front of the buyer and talk them through and let them help make the decision. Because if you just, ram a surveyor down someone's neck, it could be a biased survey. So I think it's an important process. I stick with the name brands, the big companies. And I think if you know the surveyor, that's great. You kind of know what to expect and you know how to work with them. I choose surveyors that communicate well, and it's all the truth. Like we've talked about, a survey is going to reveal the truth. It's how you present it and how you discuss it, which is important. So for me, the better the communication with the surveyor, the better the result at the end of the day.
Well, there you go. I think everybody would agree with that. I know all of you guys well. I'm going to guess that that same advice would come from each of you. A piece of advice came up in the chat box there. Go ahead and make a list of the surveyors in your area. Have it, guys that you know. If you don't know guys, get some recommendations. Build yourself a list and use that as a source for your buyers. And yeah, that keeps you off the liability circle. And as you gain experience, you'll develop relationships with these guys that work well, communicate well, they're thorough, they're honest, and that kind of self fulfills the answer to that question. Gentlemen, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you devoting and volunteering your time to this, your expertise and your experience to, I think, what was a rather thirsty group. We had a great crowd attending our panel this morning. I know we had some leaders in the industry, and I know we had some guys that are just getting started out. So I really appreciate your insights, your help. I appreciate what you do, and really more than anything else, I appreciate the example that you set. You guys are great IYBA members. You're what we strive to be: professional, possessing integrity and high ethical standards, and a great level of professionalism. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I'm going to let you guys jump off. I'm going to give a few closing comments, and I'll let you get back to your day. I'm sure you guys have things to sell. Judd, Michael, Mark, and Jeff, I've never known any of you to have a boring day. There are phone calls to answer, so go on out there and get something done. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
See everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
All right, so that wraps us up for Yacht Engineering Week. I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed this. We've done it. This is our 6th year now. We've done it 5 years in the auditorium environment, as we've always done, and the networking component of our events is something that we all really enjoy. We're in a situation in this day and age that we really can enjoy that. So my kudos go out to the committee: Bob Dennison, Jeff Stanley, Trevor Carroll, who helped me put all the topics together for this. I think we've been able to bring a highly educational and engaging week together. Do you think you could get some of our fantastic people that made this happen come in here and join me for a minute? You know, we've experienced a few technical difficulties through the course of the week. As I've said a few times, we're a Yacht Brokers Association and affiliate member association. We're not a tech group. We were able to bring this to you through sponsorship, as we always are. Robert Allen Law, Caterpillar and Pantropic, Northern Lights Technicold have been here from the beginning. Seakeeper, who's been here from the beginning. AME Solutions, who's been here from the beginning. MPI and KVH, Quantum Stabilizers. LMC, which is Lauderdale Marine Center. Karen Lynn Interiors, Apollo Lighting, Underwater Lighting, and JV Connectivity, who, if we've had technical difficulties, they've made it look pretty seamless. So thanks very much to those guys. I want you guys in the audience all to thank the wonderful ladies of IYBA. They're sneaking in here to say hello and goodbye. And you guys have a great weekend. Thanks very much for joining us for Yacht Engineering Week 2020, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks again. Get out there and sell something.
Yacht Engineering Week has been brought to you by Robert Allen Law, Pantropic Power CAT, MPI Professionals, KVH, Northern Lights, Seakeeper, Quantum, AMA Solutions, Karen Lynn Interior Design, Apollo Lighting, Underwater Lights Limited. Our connection has been provided by JV Connectivity, and our timekeepers have been Lauderdale Marine Center.
Do you want to generate leads? Is free your favorite price? Then you need to check out IYBA.pro. IYBA.pro is your industry-owned platform for all listings and marketing. Create robust yacht sales and charter profiles, elegant marketing material, have access to all your exclusive data, and enjoy premium search engine optimization by signing up with us. For more information on how to join IYBA.pro, call the IYBA headquarters or email me at casey@iyba.org.
Maritime arbitration has been around for hundreds of years. Now we have a new forum to solve our disputes. The IYBA has created the International Yacht Arbitration Council to solve our disagreements. We have experienced maritime attorneys and yacht brokers to serve on our panels, people who know the law, who know boats, and who know the yacht business. IYAC arbitration can handle yacht claims, contract, purchase, and commission disputes privately, quickly, and less costly than going to court. Sometimes disputes happen, and when they do, the IYAC is here to help you solve them.
Hi, I'm Bob Saxon. I'm president of EBA, the International Yacht Brokers Association. What is EBA? Our mission statement suggests our worthy objective to be promoting professionalism and ethics amongst our members. But EBA is more than that. The work and the energies of our board of directors and our support committees is directed toward bettering the business environment within our constituency by way of education, networking, webinars, seminars, political engagement, and many other activities for the greater benefit of our membership. Our reach is impressive, with a global membership of over 1,600 strong, marking EBA as the largest and most influential professional association of yacht brokers and affiliates. If not a current member, I encourage your participation. If already an active EBA member, learn how you can serve in a board support capacity by becoming a committee member. I asked earlier, what is EBA? And in the final analysis, EBA is you, EBA is your cause. And I know that you're going to enjoy this week's EBA Yacht Engineering Webinar Week.